What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over ADA Cardano as it is approaching, and it is basically at one of the most key levels of support that we have seen from it over this entire year. So since the beginning of the year, we have established some support on top of this blue line, this very key line. Let's make this a little bit bigger so it's a little bit more visible. There we go. So what we can see is that we've come down since, realistically since February, and we touched, then we touched, and we touched, and we touched, and we touched, and we allowed this key level of support to push us up to new all-time highs multiple times. Well, as you can see is that now that we've come back down, we are still setting some higher lows on this level of support, which says that based off what we saw back here, and back here, and back here, that this key level of support can serve as strong enough to push us back to the upside. That is within the realm of possibility. And so what we need to see, realistically within the next couple days, is that this key level of support that we are just about at, right? We came down to touch it today, holds. We need to see it hold. At this exact moment, it's somewhere around, $1.17 to $1.18. But of course, it is an ascending level of support, meaning every day that goes by, every hour that goes by, it is getting a little bit higher. So what we need to be paying very close attention to is if this level is going to hold. The question then becomes, can it hold? Well, personally speaking, I do believe it's possible. If we look at something like the 4-hour RSI, let's start to look for any divergences or anything significant that tells us that support may be established. Well, the first thing that I notice is that as we did see this massive wick to the downside, we set a low. This is low number 1. Off low number 1, we came down to put in low number 2. Well, in that same time frame in which we put in this lower low, we came here on the RSI, we put in a low and another low, low number 1, low number 2, and this created a higher low. Now, considering the fact that we did see this higher low get established while we were also in this quote-unquote oversold territory, I am under the belief that this is going to be some extreme bullish divergence, and this can provide us with an opportunity to see a swing to the upside. This for sure, mixed with this key level of support, does have enough of that pressure, in my opinion, to see us push back to the upside. Now, is this confirmed to happen? Absolutely not, because realistically, until we see this price working its way back up to like the $1.50 region, we're not really out of the woods at all from seeing this just being a general retracement that leads to a continuation to the downside. And so overall, although there is this bullish divergence right here, which is an absolutely amazing sign, it's a sign, it doesn't, it's not the know-all be-all. It's not for sure going to allow us to push up, but it definitely has the possibility and the potential to. If we even go further out looking at something like the weekly charts, we can also see a similar pattern playing out on more of a macro scale. So the last low that we put in was going to be back here on July 19th. Since then, of course, we've gone up and we've come all the way back down to hopefully put in a low here and start to see a reversal back to the upside. Now, although we have not seen the bottom get put in just yet, it is to say that if we were to see it now, based off of where the prices are in the RSI is, that we put in the higher low here on the charts, boom, and we put in a lower low here on the RSI. Now you can also see again that when we see these divergences when our lows, we can see that this is going to be some textbook hidden bullish divergence. And so when we are seeing some of these divergences happening as we are approaching key levels of support, that is not just going to be, it's not going to say we're for sure going to see a reversal, but it says we can see a reversal. And so what that means to me is that I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on this key level of support, because if we're able to hold it, history says that we do have the ability to work our way back up to some crucial levels. Now, another great sign that I am paying close attention to is going to be on the 4-hour charts, and that's going to be the MACD. Looking at our MACD on the 4-hour charts, you can see that we did get some type of little bullish cross happening here, right? We did see that we did barely, I'm talking just barely slide through, in which the blue EMA slides up through the orange EMA. Now, of course, this is not going to be the, the overall beginning of the reversal. It's not the confirmation that we need, because we've seen it in the past, right? We've seen it here. We've seen it even here. Okay. But it's just another good sign. So when you combine all of these good signs together, it says that we can see some type of reversal at this point. So it's something we need to keep an eye on at roughly like $1.18 to $1.15. And lastly, what we can see is that whenever it does come to trend breaks, we did set this trend here. Boom, here we go. And what you can see is that as we did put in 3 highs, boom, high number 1, high number 2, and high number 3 with a breakout to the upside, or fake out to the upside, sorry, and a collapse back within it, we actually did work our way back out of this trend line and did look to touch down at the intersection between this key level of resistance and this key level of support. So what that tells us is not only that we have this key level of support under us, since we flipped this key level of resistance, now we have 2 key levels of support, as well as hidden bullish divergence, as well as bullish bullish divergence. All of these things to say that there's a bunch of signs here that say that there is the possibility of this thing to reverse. Now, realistically, one thing we need to know is that the market's going to be reacting off of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin decides it's going to reverse and establish this as a key level of support and start to work its way up, I would not be surprised whatsoever to see that ADA does the same. So although it is important to, be monitoring the ADA charts, I think it's even more important to keep an eye on Bitcoin as we do get closer to this weekend, because what Bitcoin does will dictate whether or not we are going to see this collapse happen in ADA's price, which will very likely, in my opinion, push us down to $1 if we do lose this trend line, okay? If we do come down and lose this ascending level of support that we've been holding for about a year now, roughly, I am under the belief that we'll come back down to that extreme psychological level of around $1, and I don't really want to even think about too much about what happens if we start working our way below $1. So with that being said, that's what I'm looking at for ADA. This is crucial. This is critical. We need to see this ascending level of support hold, because if not, we could be looking at another large correction, right? From $1.27 to $1. I mean, we're looking at, maybe another 20% in losses there if it does not hold. And so with that being said, keep a very close eye on Bitcoin, keep a very close eye on ADA, and let's look to see if this key level of support is going to hold. If it does, do expect to push towards $1.40, $1.50. And at that point, once we can set a new higher high off of these, I do believe that we can be looking at some type of reversal pattern there. So with that being said, of course, I will update you guys as this thing does continue to move. I will update you guys as it does continue to grow. And if you do want even more updates, make sure you tune into the Patreon, as that's where I update them every single day on all of their favorite cryptos. But with that being said, of course, I will see you all very soon in the next video. Peace.